it actually. There we go. Well, what we do every week, we start with reflecting on the previous week. It's a good place to start. So whether you set a goal or an intention for the week, maybe you had lost the routine or you've taken a break or whatever, that's absolutely fine. But just have a little think of maybe the content that you've shared most recently, and think about what kind of stuff that you shared worked really well or did what it wanted it to do. Maybe it started some conversations, maybe it got lots of engagement on you from your audience, maybe it got lots of reach, maybe it was just an experiment and you wanted to try something, maybe something didn't work, and that's also fine as well. But I just want you to take a couple of minutes and just look at what you've most recently shared in the past week or from whenever you've last posted, and just think about what has worked really well and whether you reached your goal, whatever goal that was. And your insights are always really good, to tell you the numbers and to show you what has worked and what hasn't. So if you haven't looked at your insights recently, it's always worth having a little look, because Instagram will literally tell you what pieces of content reach the most people in the past 7 days, or you might want to look at 30 days and see, is there a format that keeps, is there a format that gets more reach than others? Is there a reason why something did better than something else? Just see if you can work out if there's any patterns. Sometimes there are no patterns. Sometimes nothing makes any sense. But there are some times when you're like, oh, okay, I've posted a lot more reels, and so the fact that it's video format has helped to improve the reach. Or I've posted more of these kinds of personal experience type stories, or maybe more conversational stuff, and that's caused more people to interact with the posts. So this is when you can start to work out what stuff kind of works. It's not foolproof, there's always ups and downs, but you start to see certain patterns with certain things. And just on the point about interacting, I don't know if everyone is aware, but there is a section under your profile where you can see your activity, and I always go there and have a look and check that I've replied to all the comments and all the conversations that I've been having. So if you go to your profile and click the 3 lines in the top right-hand corner, there is an option that says your activity. And within that, you can see the one that I always check is comments. If you go to comment interactions, what it does is it brings together all the comments that you have put either on your own content as a reply or as a comment on somebody else's piece of content. It brings them all into one place, so you can check whether you've replied to stuff, whether you might have lost a conversation and you want to pick it up again. Brings it all into one place so you can see who has replied, who you've been speaking to, because sometimes I lose conversations. You've got lots of notifications, things popping up and down. Just brings it all into one place. And if I know that I'm intentionally doing like a bit of a push on like actually going to speak to my audience, I will, during engagement time, I'll go and put extra comments out there. I'll go and find people within my audience or new people to go and chat to, and then I can kind of keep tabs on all those conversations in one place. So I think that's quite a helpful little feature. Okay. So if we focus on what's going on this week then, so I always start this by looking at what is going on in my week, what is in my calendar, what stuff is already in the diary that is set on set days, set times, blocked out, that's got to happen. And then my content planning and content creation kind of can fit around that. If you've got a super busy week, you might not want to plan to do as much. If you've got a bit more time, then you might want to plan to do more. So have a look at what your capacity is this week and decide on how visible you would like to be this week in terms of how many posts you want to do, what kind of posts you want to do, whether you want to try something new this week, whether you want to maintain what you did last week, that's perfectly okay as well. If you actually just want to have a step back this week, or what I see some people do sometimes is skip a week. So you're like, look, Christmas chaos is coming up. I'm not going to post anything this week so that I can get a week ahead and start thinking about, December content now. You can absolutely do that as well. But it needs to be related to what's going on in your business at the moment, like thinking of, do you have a Black Friday offer? Do you have a December offer? Do you have products to sell in the run up to Christmas? If you don't, then maybe you can think of, maybe you offer something like after Christmas in the Boxing Day sale, January sale, or maybe you have an offer that suits the new year. Like this would be a good time to kind of start talking about the new year. But it's all going to completely depend on your services and your offers that are completely unique to you. So have a look at what's going on this week. Have a look at your monthly plan. Zoom out a bit more if you want to. What else is going on in the next couple of months? What's going to be the focus for this week?
I've just got to quickly go and say night to the twins. I'll be back in 1 second.
Right. Sorry. And then whatever your focus is, whatever your goal is this week, I want you to try and get clear about how you're going to do that. So if you wanted to post more this week, try and define what that means. Does that mean more video? Does that mean more Instagram stories? Does that mean more carousels? Like what kind of posts? Does that mean more kind of personal stuff? Does that mean more promotional stuff? Try and get clear about what that really means, and get clear about how you'll know if you've achieved it. Because something vague like, oh, I'll just post more, or I'll just be more active, is quite vague. So if you can put a number to it, I always think that's just the simplest way to do it. Put a number to it so you know what you're aiming for. So it might be that you want to post 3 times this week. Great, 3. There we go. There's your target number. It might be that you want to do 5 videos this week. Great. So you've got your target number of 5. So when you get to the end of the week, you get to next Sunday, you'll know whether you've hit that or not. You'll also know, because you've defined it with a number, when you come to sit down and film them, or you're putting them all together on your phone, you know that you want to make 5 in one go. You're creating them in a batch. You're not creating them as you're going along one at a time. This is how I've kind of started to do mine, in little batches, where I go, right, I want to do 2 videos a week this month, so I need 8 in total. Can I sit and write all 8 now, and then tomorrow I can film all 8 in one go? So when you add the number to it and you quantify it, it kind of just makes it so much clearer for you to know what to create.
So how do you go about figuring out if you've achieved your goal if you're using stories? Because I don't know if you remember, I think I commented on one of your posts that I was reading that book, Show Your Work.
Yeah.
I finished it earlier this week. And one of the things that he has in there that I was thinking about trying is like sending out what he calls the daily dispatch. So it's like something small, because I've gotten in the habit of documenting what I've done from the last time I was in Glow Up. So he's like, you can do like a daily dispatch. And I was thinking, okay, well, I could do that. Maybe stories would be good for that. But I know stories is mostly for the people that are already following you. But then reels would be for, trying to get new followers. So I was trying to figure out which would be the best, or if maybe I should just do both. I don't know. So if you're using stories, because with reels you can see the insights and whatnot, how would you know if you really accomplished what you were setting out to do if you're using stories, but you're not putting like a poll or, something where they actually have to interact with?
You can still see how many people have viewed that story. So that would probably be the main metric.
Okay. So just looking at views.
Looking at views, yeah. So for something like that specifically, the 2 metrics you would have would be the number of stories that you've shared within a week. Going for one story a day, you're aiming for 7 over the week, and then each story's views. So Instagram monitor that for you. You can see that in your insights, and it will break down and order them for you in order of who's seen it, so you can see the actual numbers of how many people have viewed each story.
Okay, because I was thinking about trying that. Like, I was going to go into Canva and make a very simple template that I could use, because most likely for me, I will probably be doing this in my car when I'm sitting in the school line, because that's kind of like the end of my workday. And Canva is a nightmare on your phone. So I would rather already have a template in place where I could just pop the video in and then, do the Instagram thing.
Do you need a Canva template though?
I mean, I don't know. Would I like, or can I just post them? Well, just like post them up there on Instagram stories. I didn't know which would be easier to do. Like, should it be uniform since this is something I'm doing every day and get people used to it? Or is that even not even necessary?
think it's necessary, not for something like Instagram stories. I think that's you've added a step in there that's just going to take a little bit more time. I don't think it's necessary for something like Instagram stories. You can have the caption sticker on, so that you've got the, you know, the closed captions underneath if you're talking to the camera, or you can just type text on the screen that said like daily dispatch and like lists the things that you've done or the things that you wanted to share that day. I honestly don't think it needs to be more complicated than that, because you won't get into the habit of doing it enough if it's hard.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I definitely wanted to try doing that along with for me it'll probably just be like 2 posts because it's Thanksgiving week here in America. So yeah, so it'll probably be a light week for me. But yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, so that's probably your main focus for this week then, like starting the daily Instagram stories and trying to do one each day this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Good stuff. Yeah, I just think if you can make the process as easy as possible with the least amount of steps, one, you're more likely to do it in the first place, but you're more likely then also to keep up with it because you've not, you know, it doesn't take as much effort every time. So yeah, I would say if you don't need the template and you're just using a picture or even just talking to the camera, I think that would probably be easier. Okay, so we've kind of already started to do this, but looking specifically at the content then that this breaks down to for this week, thinking of your platforms. So I know we all think of Instagram, but what other platforms are you also using this week or this month that you also want to cross post to or repost to? And get clear on the number of posts you want to share and the type of posts. So whether that is reels, carousels, stories, or other things. You know, you decide, you make sure you're clear and you're happy with it, and everyone's numbers and everything is going to be different. So this is obviously our planning session, but when will you get it done? When will you actually create it and you share it? So if you can get into a habit, into a routine of it being either a set time every week or a set time every day, depending on what the post is or how you want to share it, that I think is the best system to keep it consistent. So I have time on a Monday where I create all my posts for the week. Stories I tend to do as and when throughout the week, but I know set people that do their stories at a set time every day, because if they don't do it at that time, it won't fit in the day. So if you have to do it in the car while you're waiting to pick up the kids, absolutely. If that's a daily thing that you do, or when you're walking the dog in the morning, or when you fit it in with something that you're going to be doing regularly and kind of stack it together with another thing that you already do in your routine. But if you would prefer to have a set time in the week, like I do, like on a Monday, then make sure that's in your diary so you know that it's going to get done. And then 2 last things then. Do you need anything to help you? So do you need any new photos, any new ideas? Will you need to take some new video? Will you need to find some old video? Will you need reviews, testimonials, pictures from other people like customers, clients, or other places? You know, what are the things that you are going to need? Do you need some new caption ideas, some new hook ideas? Do you need some different templates, or you need to find your own templates? Like, what are all the things that you need? Can you gather them together now so that when you come to get it done during your creation time, you've got everything ready and you can just go? And then last thing, what's going to stop you from achieving this goal? What's going to get in the way this week? I always try and think, okay, these are my good intentions. This is what I would love to do this week, but what's going to get in the way? And how can you put something in place to sort of make sure you're still getting the things done that you want to get done. It's normally something to do with the kids or some kind of an emergency, and it just means that things run over, or I underestimate how long stuff's going to take. So I try and add in some buffer time throughout the week to just catch up and pop back to stuff that's not got done. Right, well, we've got about another half an hour or so up till 8 o'clock to finish our planning or get started on the creating if you want to. And I am here to answer any questions or for you to bounce ideas off, me to check anything if you want me to, or you can literally just crack on, and that's absolutely fine.
Lorna, I was going to ask, I've been reading a bit about like the carousel posts I've been doing, lots of carousel posts, and they don't really get that much engagement, but I've been reading that it's kind of good to have them as like slightly bigger rather than the squares. Do you know what I'm trying? My brain is not working today at all, but like a bigger image, not a square.
Mm.
Is that worth doing, or is it better to maybe turn my carousel posts into reels? Or I don't know, because my reels get reasonable engagement. Every time I post a reel, I get quite good engagement. I get lots of emails. I get lots of people joining the Facebook group. I get lots of stuff happening, but I only do 2 reels a week because I feel like it's a lot to do more. But I guess I could turn it in, like make an easy reel, if you know what I mean, like with like the text.
Mm.
You know what I'm trying to say? I don't know. I don't know what the best thing to do is, whether I'm wasting my time even making the carousel posts.
I honestly wouldn't worry too much whether it was square or whether it was portrait. I don't think it's going to make much difference to the interaction or anything like that. The only reason why they have that option is because when you're scrolling through your feed, when they're ever so slightly longer, they take up more of the screen. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So if you're getting quite, if you're getting down to the really teeny tiny little nitty gritty bits of why this post worked and why this post didn't, and you've got the time to like really, really go down into the nuts and bolts of it, then you might say, oh, well, that gets more attention because it's on the screen for longer.
Yeah.
But we're not I don't think none of us are at a position where we're,
No.
worrying that much about the nitty gritty.
Yeah. Because it's so hard, because I've like, for example, the one I shared this week, it has been saved. Like someone has actually saved it because they obviously want to go back to it, which is good, but I don't feel like there's much coming from it. And they're quite a lot of effort. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being lazy. I don't know. I don't really know what. I feel like I need to do something else. I feel like I've been doing the same thing for the last few weeks. And I know it's been really busy, and at least I've been consistent with it, but I post the same thing every week. It's obviously different. It's a different version of it, but it's still essentially the same thing. If you see what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Is this you getting bored of your own stuff?
Maybe. Or maybe just, yeah.
Yeah. Because it happens to me now. I get bored with it, and then I'm like, right, next month I want to do something really, really different and change loads of stuff.
And maybe it's not worth it. Maybe it's just. I wonder if I should try and do a couple more, like maybe one more reel, maybe try and do 3 rather than, I don't know.
Started to repurpose some of the stuff from like 6 months ago and took like one of your carousel posts from like 6 months ago and basically said the same thing, like use the same text, use the same caption as a reel, like with a little clip behind it. So it's not going to take that much like time to put together because you've already written it.
Yeah.
It's going to repurpose.
I realized as well, I'm not doing enough of is setting my tripod up and just literally filming what I'm doing during the day. Because I go back and I'm like, oh, I'll go on Canva and I'll find like a video or something from there and use that because they're quite good. But yeah, I think maybe if I had more clips of me, maybe that'll, I don't know. I just need the Christmas holidays.
Clips of you would definitely help. It wouldn't even need to have like any children in it or anything. It would just be like,
I think this is the hard thing. I've got lots of videos of me doing like online stuff, but actually, I think people want to see me teaching. I do have permission from most of the students, but it just feels a bit, I don't know, it feels a bit weird putting students on the Instagram, but maybe I just need to do it and just, I don't know, I guess put text over their faces or something even.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I have the boys in some of my clips, and sometimes I think, oh, should I really share a video of them in it? But I'll put like text over their head or something, so it's not really like you couldn't really read. So you could do that, but maybe the starting point is just filming yourself first of all, just like you set it up so it's filming you, but not necessarily have any of the children involved, and then you don't interact.
And just see.
Like, it's just getting into the habit of doing it. Like,
I think I just need to literally set the tripod up, press play, and just literally film the whole lot and then crop and edit afterwards. Because like my flute, when I do the flute days, obviously there's permission for all of that and it's not focused on one child. It's like lots of people. That did quite well, that reel as well. Like that was quite good because people were, I guess, seeing what is going on. But
and there's like two levels when we look at the numbers, right? Because you can look at the numbers of like how many people have watched this reel and how many people have interacted with this reel, but there's also the other number that you want of like how many people have looked at this content and then thought, oh, I need to go and speak to her, I need to go and check out Jade and look at her website and book, you know, consider whether she's the right one.
I don't get with Instagram because I get quite a lot of people watching the reels, and then actually it doesn't always translate into followers always. You know, I get quite a few on the email list that seems to do that, but they bypass actually giving me a follow, if you know what I mean, which is really annoying. I'm like, come on, all this effort, like, but like they say, like my email list grew. I had 10 people join last week, like, which is, you know, not too bad, but I think I had like 2 people follow me on Instagram, so it's like it doesn't really, I don't know.
Sometimes it doesn't correlate. But what I mean is that it's hard to work out from something like views on a reel. It's hard to work out with how that would translate into people booking for one of your workshops or one of your lessons. It's not always, but what the kind of point I'm trying to make is that people would like to see that kind of stuff of you teaching, even if when you look at the numbers they're like, oh no, people didn't really like to watch it. It's weird,
but it might get the more focused people in, isn't it? That's the thing, isn't it? Because like that reel on Facebook that I had that had like 216,000 views, it like, which is, but it doesn't, it's not actually all people. It tends to be people that are like, oh, that's a weird thing that you're doing, rather than actually people that are like, oh, actually I want to know how to do that, or that's actually useful for me.
This is the tricky thing. It doesn't translate. Someone literally posted something today that was like, oh, my latest reel went viral. Guess how many sales I got from the video? And I was like, oh, this is an interesting thing to like. She broke down all her numbers, and it got like 300,000 views or something. And she was like, it only actually led to 1 lead, and it didn't lead to any sales.
So it's.
And I know actually, there's a lot of like authors and book people that do the same thing, like in the build up to like a book launch, they'll get super visible and have all this exposure on TikTok, on Instagram. But then after their launch, they'll look at the numbers and they'll be like, actually, it didn't really translate into the number of book sales that I wanted, considering we had all these big numbers of views and stuff. So it's really, it's a hard,
because there is also that thing where someone has to see you at least 7 times in order to then actually buy the thing. And then that needs to be 7 times of the thing that you're trying to sell. But then that's really hard to keep saying it 7 times because you feel like you're a broken record, and it's not very interesting for the people who are there just for like to enjoy your Instagram. I don't know, like
I know.
I don't know. I think I just need a week off and a bit of a and decompress and figure out what's going on. But yeah, it's, I don't know.
Nothing wrong with repurposing stuff. And
Yeah,
I don't know if you know about remixing your own reels. I don't know if you've ever tried that.
No.
If you went on one of your old reels, say from like 6 months ago or last year,
Yeah.
you can remix it, which basically means you just need to make one little addition to it, one little change to it, and it will let you repost it as if it's a new reel. And so what that does, what that means is that you don't have to like find an old video, download it back down to your phone, re-upload it again, and it can sometimes go weird.
Yeah.
It all stays within Instagram. So if you wanted to reuse the caption, reuse the text, it would still be on there, but you just need to make one tiny little change to it for it to count.
How do you make like a check? Like, what do you mean? Like, as in, like, because I've seen, obviously, you know, like people have like a reel and then they come up next to it and they're like, oh yeah, remember when I did this? This was really fun. And like this got this, I don't know, like you can kind of talk through it, but how do you make like a small tweak in order to just, I don't know.
Yeah, so they've changed the way that it does. They're not side by side anymore. They're like one clip after the other.
That's a shame.
Yeah, I know, because I quite liked the side by side ones. I don't know why they've done that.
I quite enjoy the floating head ones. You know, like you see them on TikTok where people are like, oh yeah, this. I don't know if you've seen like about people like talking about houses in London. Like, oh, you want to spend £1 million on this? Look at this shit garden. Like, and it kind of like they're kind of like floating around the screen. Like they're quite.
Yeah, that's a green screen filter. I quite like those.
Okay, yeah, because I've never done that either, but I'm a bit scared. I don't know.
That would be good for you because you'd have all like sheet music behind you, or you'd have like that would really work for.
Yeah, maybe in the Christmas holidays. I'll see if I can build up the courage after a wine or something.
No, but it only needs to be like one little tweak, like you put a new piece of text over the old text. If you wanted to like change the hook or change the title of it or something like that.
If I open like an old thing,
you can, yeah, try it now.
you click like use as a template. No.
So click on the three dots and you should be able to.
Yeah. And then what's oh, remix. No, I totally missed that. Yeah, okay.
It's changed, that's why.
So you just.
So you can add new things in, but you can't share as is without making at least one little change. Does that make sense?
Yes. So I could put like I don't know, something on. Okay, that makes sense. I'll have a look at that actually.
Because if you wanted to reuse lots of your reels that have done well before.
Because that's the thing, people forget about them, don't they? That's the thing. Like they happen and then it's gone. It's not like something people go back to. So actually it's kind of
This is what I mean, and creating content can take so much time.
Yeah.
You can make sure that you're reusing it especially when it was good.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
I think you forget because like YouTube, you can't do that. You have to just keep making new stuff, don't you? So it's kind of, yeah. Oh, so much to do, Lorna. I can't do it all. Okay.
I'm just a little nervous about posting, like, because again, I'm used to filming myself, but it's what I'm filming that I'm trying to wrap my head around how to make that interesting for people. Because obviously, if I'm, like if I'm mind mapping or, doing something like that, that's one thing. But I've also filmed myself editing, like actually working on a manuscript. And it's not like a quick and fast process. There's a lot of thinking involved. So sometimes I'm literally just sitting there staring at the screen, figuring out, okay, how can I rework this because it sounds really dumb. So they might not see my cursor moving for like several minutes at a time. So I have some clips on my phone from yesterday because I'm one of those who actually like to work a little bit on Saturday because I use that Saturn energy. So I have some clips on my phone from what I was doing yesterday, and I was looking at it this morning, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to start with these for the week in regards to like my daily dispatch. But like, how do you make this interesting? Because I got like a clip of it was like an 8-minute clip. And then I had to like go off screen and then look at some like
Do you
confidential
speed
stuff
them
from
up?
her.
Do you
So
speed them up? Do you video yourself like fast? I don't know what you call that on the iPhone. Because
I
I've got one where I'm like teaching and it's like blah, 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 like, and I
sometimes I do a
get my
time
key and
lapse
stuff.
and yeah, I have a mix. I have a mix of time lapses and then I thought I should just film myself editing like in real time because I feel like some authors might want to see that in terms of like see how I edit for them to know if they want to work with me or not. So that's like the longer one, it's like 8 minutes long. And I'm like, well, geez, how do you make this interesting? Because at one point, I was looking at it back, and the cursor was literally just sitting there, and my hand was just and I'm staring like, you can't see me, you can see my hands, and you can see the screen because I wanted to show what I was doing, and it just sat there for, like, a good,
You
like,
do like
2 minutes or so
thought
until I
bubbles.
figured out what I wanted to write.
Yeah. Could you do like thought bubbles and things that, because like what was going through your head? I don't know, like a kind of,
Bubbles.
oh, I'm thinking about this right now, thinking about this, and you could have like a, oh, do I need a wee? You know, you could have kind of like make it, I don't know, I was really like, but you could make it interesting, like, oh, I am actually, the things are going on, and this is what I'm doing. I don't know. I don't know if
Thought
that's
bubbles. I didn't think of that at all. I'm gonna
Yeah, that's a good
literally
idea.
writing that down. Thought bubbles, because there's a lot of thinking involved in editing and like changing a manuscript and making it, comprehensible. Because what I was editing, it was like, what?
Yeah, that would totally work. So although there's not a lot happening visually on the screen, you could have quite a lot of text that pops up for all
Mm,
those thoughts and all the questions and all the things you're thinking of and all the things you're considering. And could that be better? Could the person do this? Could we change this? That might be the valuable part because people can see how much thought process goes into editing,
mm.
even though it looks like nothing's happening. Like your brain.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds like it would work better as a reel as opposed to a story then.
Yeah, that would, yeah. Well, you could use it as both. You could use that
Mm,
clip in two different ways. So you could use it as
okay.
a reel with the thought things popping up, but you could also have that clip just on its own or in stories with some different
Okay.
text over the top or a voiceover over the top.
Okay. So, okay, I'm gonna give that a try because that's what I was thinking about this morning when I was looking at what I filmed yesterday. I was like, how do I make this so that people actually are interested in what's going on here? Because I mean, I'll still do a sample edit if someone wants to work with me. I believe that's important because not every editor is right for every writer. It has to be a good relationship, otherwise it's not going to work out. But I'm noticing, and I don't know, maybe this is because of all the Facebook toxicity or whatever, but a lot of writers are now, and I think it's because of the vanity presses are taking advantage of writers and taking their money. Writers are now, apprehensive and they're very scared to sign up to actually work with a real editor like myself because they think they're going to get scammed again. So I've had quite a few people ghost me because they're like, so, how do I know this isn't a scam? Like, are you going to give me a publishing deal? And I remember having to, respond back to someone saying, I've never represented myself as a publisher. I cannot give you a publishing deal. I'm a freelance editor and book coach. I can help you write your book and edit it so that it's ready to be published, but that's not what I do. I don't do that publishing part. So I've had a lot of people ghost me because they're afraid of that. So that's why I was thinking instead of just having a time lapse of everything going like this, maybe I should really slow it down so they can actually see what the hell it is I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah. I think Jade's idea is a really good idea. You
Mm,
you obviously wouldn't need the whole 8 minutes.
right.
You would just trim down like a 15-second clip out of that 8 minutes where maybe there's something happening on the screen. But I'd probably say you'd be able to do that in 15 seconds
Mhm.
and have maybe like 5 or 6 different things pop up that are like the questions that you think or what you're considering what like during that process, because what you're trying to emphasize is that maybe not a lot is happening on the screen, or it might not look like a lot is happening, but actually there's a huge thought process and there's a lot more that goes into it that takes time and takes your expertise, and that's what you would get if you worked with me.
Yeah, that's actually what I really want to show. It's not so much of me changing words and fixing commas and periods and all that other stuff.
Yeah, the thought bubbles, I think that's a genius idea.
Yeah. And I was quite surprised to see that one of my posts from a month ago was saved 10 times. Like, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, "Huh?" I was like,
Or
"That's interesting," but it's funny because only 14 people liked it, but nobody commented on it. So I was kinda, like, really shocked to see that 10 people actually saved it. So that's why, you say what you say, that sometimes the numbers make 0 sense at all, because that makes no sense to me.
yeah, and people will see stuff, but they won't interact with it, not in the way that we like so obviously want. We want everybody to have liked it and followed us straight after and commented so that we know it's working. But there's loads of people that will maybe save it and think, I'll come back to that, maybe share it with someone and like not even communicate with you, but they might share it with a friend, or they'll bookmark it mentally and be like, I need to get back to that, but you won't know those things. And so it's like a hidden, like you're doing all the good stuff, but it's hidden out there. You have to kind of trust that the right people are seeing it, the right people are saving it, and when they're ready, when you're ready, they'll just sort of pop up out of nowhere, which is what happens sometimes. You think, oh, where did this person come from? And then when you trail it back, you're like, oh, well, they've followed me online for 2 years. Of course, they must have seen some stuff from me. So
Yeah.
10 saves, that's great.
Yeah, maybe I should do more posts like that. It was really a simple post. It was one of the ones before NaNoWriMo started. What was the post? Oh, it was like a hypothetical scenario because we still had plenty of time before NaNoWriMo started. And I put, NaNoWriMo starts in 2 days. I haven't done anything to prepare. What should I do? And then I put what I would do in the caption, and that was it. So maybe I should do more posts like that.
You
And
know
just
what?
kind of,
That's a really strong hook because you have called somebody out and you've basically identified what they would be thinking in their head. That's really hard to do, but that makes it a really strong hook because someone will be scrolling and they'll go, oh yeah, no, I am thinking of that. And I do need to get involved in it, and I have left it too late, and quick, let's look at her tips. Let's get on. So that's a really, really strong hook, and that would really speak to the people that you're trying to attract.
okay, so maybe I should do more posts like that and think of what are they thinking about that they procrastinated on or something like that, and kind of do a hook like that and then put what I would do in the caption, because that's basically all I did. It's the one from October 20th. I don't know,
Yeah.
you may have liked it too. I didn't really go back and look. I just looked because you said to go look at the insights.
Let's have a look. Yeah. Also, I
It's
feel like you've changed your branding recently, or is that just me?
yeah.
Changed your colors.
Yeah, I have. I'm going slightly. I'm moving more and more towards the druidic witchy vibe. So I'm changing things very slowly. It's like a gray post with white writing on it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the hook. That's a really strong hook. And then the fact that you've shared your own personal recommendation, like not just a chat GPT general recommendation. You've actually shared what you've done because you've joined in before and you are part of the community. That's a really valuable post. Maybe that's a format to repeat.
Okay. Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Are either of you familiar with Substack Notes? Because I do use Substack for my email list, and I was thinking about the cross-posting thing because I'm gonna focus on Instagram and Substack only because those are the two that I use. But Notes is kind of supposed to be like, I guess they had Twitter in mind when they thought about it, and maybe they had Threads in mind when they thought about it because it kind of functions the same way. Like you can just post random stuff. I mean, obviously it's not that random, but it is more random than, sending an email to somebody or posting something specific on Instagram. So I was just curious, like, have you tried using it and what were your
I,
experiences?
I don't know anything about Substack, to be honest. And weirdly, you saying about Threads, I think Threads has really fallen off a cliff. Like, I don't know anyone that still uses it anymore.
There are writers on there. I mean, I'm there just kind of perusing around and they're chatting to each other, but I
Hmm.
don't want to say that they're the hobbyists, kind of like on Facebook, but there's definitely a presence of writers there of all genres. I have noticed that, but in regards to like how serious they are about writing their books and then, working with an editor to get them published and to make money from those books, even if it's, a small thing while they have a full-time job or whatever. I haven't ascertained that just yet. Right now it just kind of looks like a meetup place for writers to, support each other and cheer each other on.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not familiar with it. I don't know. Your instinct might be right though. It might be more of a community for like writers rather than attracting your clients in.
Yeah, yeah. Because they also have a chat feature in Substack too. So the people who are already subscribed to your Substack newsletter, there you can chat to them as well. And it kind of comes up like a thread. Again, like, threads or, a tweet or something like that. So, and then you can have, paid and unpaid subscribers for that too, if they're part of your newsletter. So, because if I'm going to cross post anywhere, it's most likely going to be on Substack, but I haven't figured out if I wanted to do a chat or if I wanted to try out Notes because Notes kind of got out hot and heavy like Threads did too. And it was a lot of noise. Everybody was on there. It wasn't angry. It was just a lot of noise because everybody was on there. And I was like, ooh, okay, it's too much. So now that it's quieted down and people are used to using it, it's not as loud anymore. And people do post like, thoughtful things. It's not like random garbage that they're just using the platform for. So I will say that.
Mm. It's not something I'm familiar with. I guess it depends whether you can easily cross post stuff or whether it's essentially going to be another stream that you need to think of. Like, so you'd have your Instagram posts, then you have Instagram stories, and you have maybe your Substack post. And then, I mean, is it going to be another stream of something that you need to create for? Or is it a case of, right, everything that I'm sharing on Instagram stories, basically I share there as well?
I think it could go either way because obviously there's no way to know if the people on Substack are following me on Instagram. There's really no way to know that because Substack functions more like an email list for you as opposed to a social media platform.
Yeah.
So I might have to experiment with it and see how that works out. But I don't think I would need to like create separate content for that if I were to do it. Because I'm already doing my Substack newsletters anyway. Those are like twice a month. And that's primarily for me to kind of like do my own writing because I am a writer too. So that's like my play area. And if I were to use Notes, it would just be more so to have people look at my Substack. And occasionally, not every single post, but sometimes at the bottom, I will put, hey, I'm an editor, by the way. You can work with me, stuff like that, like little hints and bits. Because I don't think Substack was designed to be a newsletter where you can actually promote on.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to be sneaky with it, so to speak.
Yes, you have to kind of just sort of slide it in naturally,
Yeah, yeah.
or you just put a thing at the bottom, be like, I do this, by the way, if you also want to work with me, fine.
Yeah, yeah, and that's pretty much how I've been using it. But yeah, for right now, it's more just a place for me to express my own self in my own writing, and people can see all the mystical, magical thoughts that are running through my head on any given topic. But I feel like writing about that particular month.
That sounds good. And maybe you just need to take like a sentence or an idea out of what you've already written, and that then is your note, or that is then something you share on stories. You know, because you've got, basically you've made like long form content in terms of your
Yeah.
newsletter. You know, you've put time and effort into writing that. So then you're just maybe taking certain lines or quotes or ideas from that and putting it in the places that are short form, like stories, because they're going to disappear, or, you know, after a few hours, people have all scrolled by. So maybe think of it like that. Like, this is my main long form piece of content. How can I kind of maybe take out a piece and use it as like a teaser, like reminding people that you have your Substack newsletter, and if you wanted to read the full article or all of the tips or all of the goings on, then you can read the full thing here. So it kind of works as like a little teaser then to get people to read the full thing.
Okay, I don't think I had utilized that because the way I use Substack, it's not as random as I probably just made it sound like I do it for my own personal writing. It's actually not. It's quite strategic because I'm writing about things that are useful to writers. Like, for example, one of my posts, I mean, it's a newsletter, but I kind of treat them more like an essay. One of them is about how to use astrology for character development. So, you know, stuff like that. So those are the types of things I'm writing about. So it's still focused on writing and, you know, geared towards writers, but there's a witchy, mystical side to it because that's just me. So yeah, I don't think I've pulled things out from what I've written and shared them. Like if I write a Substack post, the thing that I like about Substack is you don't have to create graphics for it. Once you've created a post, if you have pictures in it, it will automatically generate a photo for you to post on Instagram stories, Facebook, or whatever. So it'll do that for you, or you could just do like the plain background or whatever. So you don't have to do that. But I don't think I've pulled out certain, you know, like tips or little passages from it and posted it on Instagram and said, hey, I'm talking about, you know, how to use astrology for character development. You can read about it over here. So yeah, thank you for that. Because I don't think I've done that.
Yeah, I mean, that
To
can
say I posted something.
yeah, I mean, that can stand alone as a post. Like, if you were talking about the ways that you can bring astrology into your character development, you can take one of those things that you've written about, and that can be its own post. It would also make sense to sort of be like, well, I talk about this more in my Substack essay. If you're not subscribed to it, you can find out everything that I have to talk about on this topic and have that available for people to sign up to it. So it then works as a promo for the Substack. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
But then it's its own post in itself, because you have given a piece of information or a tip or a bit of knowledge in that post.
Okay. Yeah.
Just something to think about. I don't want to make more work for you, but that
No,
would
I was trying to think about how I can
bring it
use.
together.
Yeah, because these are going to be the two platforms that I plan to use exclusively. And so I was trying to, like, you know, rack my brain around how can I use them together in like a cyclical type of way where Substack is feeding into Instagram, Instagram is feeding into Substack, since I'm, you know, talking about the same topics, not necessarily in the same order, but I'm still talking about the same things on both fronts.
Yeah. Because what I see a lot, I see this with podcasting as well. Like, people want to share a post that promotes the latest episode of their podcast. So they'll just say, like, we've got a new episode and we're talking about this. Go and listen to it. And it's essentially an advert. It's just an advert that people scroll past. But what I say is, like, right, think about what you've actually discussed in the podcast. Was there like a light bulb moment, or a real key thing that came up in the discussion, and you share that or part of that and kind of tease people a bit to get them to listen to the rest, rather than just saying we've got a new episode out, or rather than just saying I've written a new article. People want to know what it's about, and if you've given them a little bit, then they're going to kind of want the rest of it.
Okay. Yeah, I could definitely do that. Like those could be my 2 posts for the week, as opposed to trying to create something new and think about how I'm going to cook a turkey and everything else for Thanksgiving.
There we go. There's a plan. Yeah, love a bit of reusing, crossing over, saving a bit of time.
Okay. Yeah. See, this is why I came back. Duh.
Wonderful. Right, I'm going to leave the session there. If anyone needs anything else from me, you know where to find me, and we'll do this again next Sunday. If you want to do this again next Sunday, we'll see how you got on this week. Lovely. Have a good week, everyone.
Thanks, Lord. See you later.
See you later. Bye.